All right, you want to know how to be the big swinging dick at the FBI? Let's fucking dive in. We're talking about the director, the one calling all the shots.
We're going deep on these guys, the power trips and all the bullshit that comes with the job.
So you think you got the balls to be the director of the FBI? Well, first, you got to suck up to the president.
True, he's the one who picks. But the Senate has got to give the okay, too. They'll put you through hell, make sure you're not a total psycho. Well, not too much of one anyway.
It's like a goddamn circus. The Senate Judiciary Committee grilled you, digs up all your dirt, just waiting to say, fuck no.
The pressure's insane. Imagine getting canned from the FBI director's job. Only happened twice, which is wild considering how many directors there have been.
Okay, so who are the unlucky bastards?
First, we got William Sessions back in '93. The guy was using FBI cash like it was his own, vacations, fancy security systems, the whole 9 yards.
What a scumbag. Thought he was untouchable, huh?
Janet Reno called him out,
Yeah.
said he had serious deficiencies in judgment. Not exactly a ringing endorsement.
So Clinton gave him the boot.
Yep, July 1993. Sessions was stubborn, though. Didn't admit to any wrongdoing, even wanted to stay until they found a replacement. Talk about not reading the room.
Clinton was probably like, get the fuck out. So who took over after that shit show?
Louis Freeh, he had his work cut out for him.
Okay, that's one down. Who's the other one that got axed? This is where it gets juicy.
James Comey, fired by Trump in 2017. Officially, it was about the Hillary Clinton email investigation, but let's be real.
There's more to it. Spill it.
Rumors were flying. Trump was pissed about the Russia investigation. Comey was asking for more cash to dig deeper. Total shitstorm.
So Trump just went full, you're fired. Apprentice style.
Not quite. Comey found out from TV while giving a speech to FBI agents. Talk about adding insult to injury.
Damn, that's cold.
The whole thing was a clusterfuck.
Clemmy gets kicked to the curb. Who steps in?
Well, when that happens, the deputy director takes over as acting director. So it was Andrew McCabe.
Ah, McCabe. Didn't he have his own problems?
Oh, yeah. Fired, too, just before retirement. Let's just say Trump wasn't a fan.
Sounds like being FBI director is a recipe for a heart attack. All that power, all that bullshit.
You said it. We can't forget about the OG, though. J. Edgar Hoover. This guy ran the show for almost 40 years.
40 years. That's longer than most marriages. Talk about power.
He was appointed back in 24 when it was still the Bureau of Investigation. He pretty much built the FBI we know. He was a pro at the political game, too.
What, like he had dirt on everyone?
Pretty much. Presidents, movie stars. He knew all the secrets, and he wasn't afraid to use them.
So he was blackmailing his way to the top. That's some House of Cards shit. What kind of dirt are we talking about?
Affairs, alleged communist ties. This was the Cold War, remember? Being called a communist could ruin your life.
Damn, Hoover was playing for keeps. No wonder no one messed with him. So how did his reign of terror end? Did he die in office?
You got it. 77 years old. After that, Congress was like, no more lifetime appointments.
They probably thought, we can't have another dictator running the FBI.
Exactly. So in 1976, they slapped a 10-year limit on the job. Figured that would stop anyone from pulling a Hoover.
10 years is still a long time to be in charge of all those G-men.
It is, but it's a balancing act, right? You need someone with experience who can handle the heat, but you don't want them getting too powerful and going rogue.
So is that 10-year limit set in stone? Any loopholes?
There have been a few exceptions. Robert Mueller, he served from 2001 to 2013, got a 2-year extension because of 9/11.
Makes sense. A national crisis like that, you need stability at the top. So if you're a rock star FBI director, you might get a bonus round. But what about those two who got fired? Sessions and Comey? There's got to be more to the story.
Yeah, it's interesting how different their dismissals were. With Sessions, it was all about ethics violations, abusing power, using government shit for personal gain. It was about him, not really about his job performance.
Right. The private jets, the security system, living the high life on taxpayer money. What a scumbag.
Totally. But Comey, that was different. His firing was pure political drama. The official reason, the Clinton email thing, felt like a cover-up.
Yeah, the timing was shady as hell. Comey was leading the Russia investigation. Trump wasn't happy about that.
Right. And Comey had just asked for more resources for the investigation. Probably didn't sit well with Trump.
So one guy gets fired for being a crook, and the other gets fired for getting too close to the truth. Fucked up.
It shows you how much power the president has over the FBI director. Makes you wonder how independent they can really be.
I mean, the president appoints them, but they're supposed to be impartial, uphold the law. It's a tough line to walk.
Totally. Serving the president, but also being the symbol of justice. Tough gig.
So we've talked about Hoover's reign of terror, the 10-year limit, the two guys who got canned. But what about the day-to-day? What does the FBI director actually do?
Well, they're in charge of the whole FBI operation. That's a massive undertaking. We're talking over 35,000 employees, 56 field offices all over the country, and global reach.
Damn, that's a lot of responsibility. Sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It can be. The director sets priorities, oversees investigations, manages resources, and they're the public face of the FBI.
So, like a CEO, but instead of selling widgets, they're fighting crime.
Good analogy. But it's not just about catching bad guys. The FBI is also involved in intelligence gathering, counterterrorism, cybersecurity. It's a lot.
Sounds like they need to be a jack of all trades. A strategist, a politician, a goddamn superhero? No pressure, right?
Seriously. They need to be able to handle law enforcement, intelligence, politics, all while keeping the public's trust. Not easy.
And they've got all those G-men working for them.
Right. Leading that army, making sure the FBI is doing its job, protecting the American people.
But let's go back to the political pressure for a sec. How much influence does the president actually have over investigations?
That's where it gets murky. Legally, the FBI is supposed to be independent from the White House.
But in the real world,
Complicated. The president appoints the attorney general, who is in charge of the Justice Department, and the FBI is part of that. So there's definitely a chain of command.
so the president could, hypothetically, lean on the attorney general to influence something.
Hypothetically, yeah. But that would be a serious no-no and could have major consequences. The FBI is supposed to be above politics.
Right, which makes it tricky when you're dealing with a president who doesn't give a shit about rules. Like, say, Trump.
The Comey situation is a perfect example of what can go wrong when the president tries to pressure the FBI.
Speaking of Comey, let's dig into his dismissal a bit more. What really went down?
The official reason was the Clinton email investigation, but there were definitely other things at play.
Like the Russia investigation.
That's a big one. Trump was not happy about Comey pursuing that.
Plus, Comey testified that Trump asked him for loyalty, which is a major red flag.
It was a tense relationship. In the end, Trump decided to cut Comey loose.
And it wasn't a quiet exit, was it?
Nope. Very public, very dramatic. The aftermath was explosive.
I'm all ears. Tell me everything.
First of all, the timing was suspicious, right in the middle of the Russia investigation.
Made it look like Trump was trying to obstruct justice.
Exactly. And then there's how Comey found out. He was in LA giving a speech to FBI employees when the news broke on TV.
What the fuck? Talk about a slap in the face.
It's humiliating, and it just fueled the idea that Trump was protecting himself, not the country.
So Comey's firing was a political shitstorm.
Absolutely. Democrats were furious, calling for a special prosecutor. Republicans mostly defended Trump. Typical partisan bullshit.
What happened next?
Well, McCabe stepped in as acting director. He didn't last long either. Trump publicly criticized him and ended up firing him too, just before retirement.
Sounds like Trump did some serious house cleaning at the FBI.
He did, and it raised a lot of concerns about him politicizing the agency, undermining its independence.
So who did Trump finally pick to replace Comey?
He nominated Christopher Wray, a former federal prosecutor who had worked for George W. Bush.
And Wray got through the Senate.
Yep. Confirmed in August 2017, and he's been the director ever since.
So Wray's been in the hot seat for a while now. How's he been doing?
That's a tough question. He's definitely had his challenges. Dealing with the fallout from Comey's firing, the ongoing investigations into Russia's meddling in the 2016 election.
And let's not forget Trump's constant attacks on the FBI.
Right. Trump called the Russia investigation a witch hunt, said the FBI was biased against him.
So Wray's been walking a tightrope, trying to keep the FBI independent while dealing with a president who's completely unpredictable.
Exactly. If he pushes back against Trump too hard, he risks getting fired. But if he's too accommodating, he risks damaging the FBI's credibility.
Sounds like a no-win situation.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But to his credit, Wray has tried to stay out of the drama and focus on the FBI's mission.
How's it working out for him?
It's a work in progress. He's made some changes, restructured some leadership positions, put more emphasis on counterintelligence.
But has he managed to rebuild public trust in the FBI after all the shit with Comey and Trump?
That's the million-dollar question. The FBI's reputation took a hit, and it takes time to rebuild trust. Wray's got his work cut out for him.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. From Hoover's iron fist to Comey's dramatic firing to Wray's current challenges, being FBI director is not for the faint of heart.
You got that right. One of the most demanding jobs in government. constantly in the spotlight, making huge decisions, dealing with intense political pressure.
But it's also a job that can make a real difference. The FBI protects the country from all sorts of threats.
Absolutely. The director has a unique opportunity to shape the agency and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to, keeping us safe.
All right, let's take a quick break, grab beer. We'll be back to dive even deeper into the world of FBI directors.
All right, so let's get back to the shit show. Being the FBI director, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Definitely not a job for someone who can't handle the heat. We've seen what happens when a director pisses off the president.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance. Serving the president, but also upholding the law. Sometimes those two things collide.
Like when a president decides to fire the director who's investigating his shady ass. Looking at you, Trump.
Yeah, prime example of how things can go to shit real quick.
Let's cut the crap. The FBI director's walking a goddamn tightrope. One wrong step, and they're screwed.
It's a high-wire act, no doubt about it, keeping the public happy, dealing with internal bullshit, navigating the political landscape, all while running one of the most powerful law enforcement agencies in the world. It's a pressure cooker.
So let's talk about the shit that keeps these guys up at night. What are the biggest challenges besides, pissing off the president?
Well, they got a whole lot on their plate. Terrorism, cybercrime, white-collar crime, the opioid crisis, and good old-fashioned organized crime. It never ends.
A never-ending battle against the forces of evil.
And the world's not getting any simpler. Technology's moving at warp speed. Threats are constantly changing. The FBI needs to stay ahead of the curve. They need to be tech-savvy, strategic, ready to adapt.
One of the biggest challenges has got to be managing resources. Money, manpower, the whole 9 yards.
The FBI's got a massive budget, but it's never enough. The director has to make tough choices about where to allocate those resources, which means prioritizing certain areas over others.
And they've got Congress breathing down their necks the whole time.
Congressional oversight? Pain in the ass. The director's constantly getting grilled by those committees, everything from budget allocations to ongoing investigations.
Sounds like you need to be a political animal to survive in this job.
Absolutely. Got to know how to play the game. And they got to be good communicators. The FBI director is the face of the agency. They need to be able to explain what they're doing and why it matters.
Yeah, can't just hide behind a badge and a gun. They need to connect with people, build trust, show they're not just robots following orders.
It's a balancing act, being transparent but also protecting sensitive information. Not easy.
Speaking of sensitive information, let's talk about some of the controversies that have plagued these guys. This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, we're about to dive into some murky waters.
Give me the good stuff. What are some of the biggest scandals in FBI history?
Well, we've talked about the Comey firing, which was a huge deal, but there have been plenty of others.
Like what? Don't leave me hanging.
One of the biggest was COINTELPRO, a series of covert, often illegal operations that ran from the 50s to the 70s.
COINTELPRO, I've heard of that. What was it all about?
The FBI was trying to disrupt and discredit groups they considered subversive, communists, socialists, basically anyone they saw as a threat.
Sounds pretty shady. What were they doing exactly?
All sorts of dirty tricks. Surveillance, infiltration, disinformation campaigns. They even resorted to harassment and violence sometimes. It was a fucked up time.
Wait, violence? They were actually hurting people.
In some cases, yeah. The assassination of Fred Hampton, the Black Panther leader, in 1969. The FBI was involved in planning that raid.
Holy shit. That's messed up.
A dark chapter, for sure. It led to major reforms and more oversight of the agency, but it definitely left a stain on their reputation.
So they learned their lesson, right? No more dirty tricks.
Let's just say there have been a few more controversies since then.
Like what? Spill it.
The Ruby Ridge standoff in the 90s. An FBI sniper killed the wife of a white separatist. Then there was Waco, a botched raid, a fire, dozens of people dead, including kids.
Jesus. The FBI seems to have a real talent for screwing things up.
They're not perfect, but they're dealing with complex and dangerous situations. High-pressure work, sometimes things go wrong.
Yeah. I guess it's easy to judge from the outside looking in.
But it's also important to hold them accountable. That's why oversight is so important. We need to make sure they're not abusing their power or violating people's rights.
Okay, so we've talked about the big scandals. What about the smaller controversies, the stuff that doesn't make headlines?
The use of informants has been debated for years.
Bitches.
Exactly. The FBI relies heavily on them to get information, build cases, but there are concerns about their reliability, whether they're being used ethically.
I can see how that would be a problem. Informants have their own agendas. They might lie or exaggerate to get what they want.
And there have been cases where informants actually instigated crimes just to get paid by the FBI.
That's fucked up. So how do they make sure these informants are legit, not being manipulated?
They have guidelines, but no system is perfect. There's always a risk that an informant will go rogue or their information is biased. It's a necessary evil, but it comes with risks.
Okay, we've covered scandals, controversies, the everyday challenges of being the FBI director. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about the legacy of these guys. What are they remembered for?
Well, it depends. Some are remembered for their accomplishments, some for their scandals, and some for a little bit of both.
Let's start with the good stuff. Who are some of the most successful FBI directors?
Hard to top J. Edgar Hoover in terms of longevity and impact. 40 years as director, he shaped the FBI into what it is today.
But Hoover was also a shady motherfucker, right?
A master manipulator, ruthless as hell, but also brilliant, a workaholic. He built the FBI from the ground up.
Complicated legacy.
He was a complex figure, no doubt, but his impact on the FBI is undeniable.
What about other directors? Who else stands out?
Robert Mueller is considered one of the most effective and respected in recent history.
He led the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election.
That's the one. Mueller had a long career in law enforcement before becoming FBI director. He was known for his integrity, his nonpartisan approach.
A real straight shooter.
Absolutely. Respected by both Democrats and Republicans, which is rare these days.
So Mueller's legacy is pretty solid.
He's seen as someone who upheld the law, defended the FBI's independence, even when it was under attack.
All right, we've talked about the good. Now let's talk about the bad. Who were some of the FBI directors who really screwed the pooch?
William Sessions comes to mind. The one who got fired for ethical lapses, remember?
Yeah, the private jet, the security system, what a piece of shit.
His time as director was full of allegations of misused funds and other shady dealings.
So he's basically remembered as a corrupt, incompetent asshole.
Pretty much. Definitely tarnished the FBI's reputation.
What about Comey? How will history remember him?
That's a tough one. His time as director was short and chaotic. His firing was incredibly controversial.
He's the guy who arguably handed the election to Trump by reopening the Clinton email investigation right before the election.
Right, that's what a lot of people believe.
But some people believe he was trying to do the right thing in a difficult situation.
It's complicated. His legacy will probably be debated for years to come.
So the jury's still out on Comey.
Only time will tell how he'll be judged.
What about the current director, Christopher Wray? It's still early in his tenure, but how's he doing?
Wray's had a tough job. Taking over after Comey's dramatic exit, trying to restore faith in the FBI, it's not easy.
And he's had to deal with Trump's constant attacks on the agency.
It's been a rocky road, but Wray's mostly stayed out of the political mudslinging and focused on doing his job.
So far, so good.
I think so. He's made some positive changes, seems committed to upholding the law.
But it's too early to say how it'll all turn out.
It's going to take time to see how his legacy unfolds.
All right, let's take another break. Grab another beer. We'll be back in a few to wrap this whole thing up. Okay, so we've talked about all the crazy shit these FBI directors have to deal with, but one thing's been bugging me.
What's that?
We keep saying the director needs to be independent, resist political pressure and all that, but the president picks them. How the hell can they be truly independent? Seems like a contradiction.
Yeah, it's tricky. You need an independent FBI, but the director answers to the president. It's a constant tension.
So is this independence thing just a load of bullshit?
Not necessarily. The 10-year term limit is supposed to give them some breathing room. They don't have to worry about getting reelected or kissing the president's ass to keep their job.
Right, okay. But a president can still fire a director they don't like what Trump did to Comey. What's to stop them?
Legally, nothing. The president can fire the FBI director for any reason or no reason at all.
So the director's just a puppet dancing to the president's tune?
Well, there are political consequences to firing an FBI director, especially if it looks like you're trying to cover something up or mess with an investigation.
Yeah, Trump learned that the hard way.
Firing Comey blew up in his face. Led to the special counsel, the whole Russia investigation mess.
So firing an FBI director is a risky move for a president.
It can be. Probably why it's only happened twice.
Okay, so there's some protection for the director, even if it's just political. But what about internal pressure? What's stopping the FBI from going rogue, doing whatever the hell they want? That's a scary thought.
That's where oversight comes in. Checks and balances, making sure the FBI follows the law, answers to someone.
Oversight, huh? So who's watching the watchmen? Who keeps those G-men in line?
It's multi-layered. Congress has oversight committees. They hold hearings, investigate, can even subpoena FBI officials.
So Congress is the babysitter.
In a way, The Department of Justice has an inspector general who investigates misconduct within the FBI.
What about the courts? Do they have any say?
Absolutely. They review warrant requests, wiretaps, can throw out evidence that was obtained illegally. They're a key part of the system.
So it's a three-pronged attack. Congress, the Justice Department, and the courts, all making sure the FBI doesn't go full-on evil.
Exactly. No one person or group has too much power. It's all about balance and accountability.
Sounds good on paper.
Yeah.
But in the real world, shit happens. People abuse power, even in the FBI. We've seen it.
True. There have been corrupt agents, misconduct, even criminal activity. It's a problem that never goes away.
So what can we do? How do we keep the FBI on the straight and narrow?
Strengthen oversight. Make it more transparent. Give it more teeth. Make it harder for bad apples to hide.
Hold their feet to the fire.
Exactly. And we need a culture of accountability within the FBI. Agents need to feel safe reporting wrongdoing, know they'll be taken seriously, not punished for speaking up.
Yeah, whistleblowers are important. They expose the shit that's happening behind closed doors.
We got to protect those who speak truth to power, even if it's against a powerful institution like the FBI.
Okay, oversight, accountability, protecting whistleblowers, all important. But let's zoom out for a second. Big picture. What's next for the FBI and its director?
The world's changing fast. The threats are changing too. The FBI needs to adapt to keep up.
What does that look like? Give me some details.
They need to be more tech savvy, more adaptable, more proactive, invest in new tech, recruit the best people, build stronger partnerships with other agencies.
More teamwork, less lone wolf stuff.
Right. The FBI can't operate in a vacuum anymore. They got to share information, coordinate, work together to tackle the challenges.
What are some of the biggest threats on the horizon? What's keeping the FBI director up at night?
Cybersecurity is huge. Cyber attacks are getting more sophisticated, more frequent. They're a real threat to national security, the economy.
Yeah, it's a digital world. We're all targets.
The FBI needs to be able to prevent these attacks, detect them, and respond effectively. They need to be one step ahead. Terrorism is still a major concern, but it's evolving. It's not just large-scale attacks anymore. It's homegrown terrorism, lone wolves, people radicalized online. They can strike anywhere, anytime.
That's scary as shit.
It is. It makes the FBI's job even harder, trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Social media, encryption, it all makes it harder to track these assholes. It's a whole new ballgame.
The FBI director of the future needs to be a jack of all trades. Tech whiz, counterterrorism expert, a diplomat, a strategic thinker, and a damn good leader.
That's a lot to ask.
It is.
Ah.
But it's a crucial job, and it's only going to get more important as the world gets more complex and more dangerous.
Well, there you have it, folks. The wild world of FBI directors. Power, secrets, high stakes. We all need to pay attention because the decisions these guys make affect all of us.
Stay informed. Stay vigilant. Don't take your freedom for granted.
That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.